So what the transaction cost economics theory says is, now, you know, a company, if it is a small company, a startup, then they can do all their activities inside the organization. Say, for instance, they can do their own distribution, they can do their own marketing, they can produce all their, products inside the organization, and they can do all the transportations and storing wise everything. If it's a very small scale company, you can do all your activities by yourself. But when the company is expanding into a very large scale company, doing your own marketing activities, distribution channels, maintaining your storerooms and producing everything inside the company would not be an easy task. When you increase the scale, that's not practical to undertake all the activities. But if you can undertake all these activities inside, then you can save a lot of money rather than going to external bodies. For example, if you are doing your own distributions, if you have your own distribution network, then it would be a cost saving thing rather than hiring another company to do your distributions. Rather than hiring another company to do your distribution, if you can do your own distribution, it's a cost saving thing. But given the complexities and the increase of scales, doing all your activities inside the company or within the organization would be a little bit a little bit difficult. Why? Because you cannot manage everything. You cannot manage everything. You cannot look after everything. The organization is very complex now. So this transaction economics argue, this theory says, we can overcome this scale problem. Now, scale is the issue. If it's a small scale, you can do all your activities inside, internally. But because of the large scale, you are going external. So if it is a scale is the problem, you can overcome that scale issue by the choice of governance structure. Well, that is by having a good governance structure, you can overcome the scale issue. Are you getting what I am telling? Now, with a small scale company, you can do all your activities inside. Why you are going outside when the scale is increasing is because it's not practical. It's very complex. If scale is the problem, you can overcome that by having a good governance structure. Because good governance structure, you can, having a good governance structure, you can monitor things. You have a good, a reporting line. You have a good direction. You have a good control. A structure is established. So agency theory, we were talking about, it was not something to do with the governance structure. Agency theory, අපි governance structure එකක් ගැන නෙමෙයි අපි කතා කරේ. Agency theory එක අපි කතා කරේ firm එක contract එකක් විදියට. There we talk about a contract. Corporate governance, it was a contract between shareholder and the director. In transaction economics, we see corporate governance as a structure that is used to overcome the disadvantage of scale. The scale එක හින්දා ඇති වෙන අවාසි මගහරව ගන්න ක්‍රමයක් විදිහට තමයි transaction cost economics ලා governance structure එක දකින්නේ. Scale problem එක මගහැරව ගන්න තියෙන විදිහ තමයි governance structure එකක් විදිහට දකින්නේ. අපි audit committees අරගෙන see, you have all the check and balance mechanisms, you have audit committees, information disclosures, outside directors, chairman and CEO, different board committees. So we developed a structure that can address these scale issues, a good governance structure. So transaction cost economics focused on cost of enforcement and check and balance mechanisms. So cost of enforcement is now you are going outside or you are going external to save the cost. But if you are keeping all those things internal and going and establishing a governance structure to make everything external, now establishing a structure is costly. You have cost of enforcement of audit committee, outside directors, board committees, having chairman, CEO and everything. This particular structure is costly. So that cost has to, be equal or less than the cost, or that cost has to be, you know, benefit has to be more than the cost of enforcement, I would say. Now, having these things, having a good governance structure is costly. However, if it has more benefits, then we can disregard that cost of enforcement. Now we are going to save cost, but cost saving would be costly when you have when you are going for a choice of good governance structure. But having a good, if having a good governance structure is, benefiting that cost of enforcement, then it's worthwhile to go for this governance structure and making things internal. So see the last line, increased cost should equal the reduction of the potential loss from non-compliance. Now, increased cost means the choice of governance structure. Because of the choice of governance structure, you will increase the cost. Your cost would increase. But even though it is increased, or if the potential loss is decreased, that enforcement is worthwhile. Potential loss means when you are going externally, you have some certain costs. Those are lost to the company. If that cost is saved, or if that cost is saved through the benefit that you get from this governance structure enforcement, then it's worthwhile to incur this cost of incorporating or cost of complying to the good code of practices. Are you getting what I am said in this? The two sentences, the 2 points. Now don't mixed with the economies of scale. That is not what I am meaning here. Scale means the size of the company, I would say. When the company is growing, it's not that you can do everything internally. You have to go outside. By going outside, because doing internally is not possible. You will get the support of outside suppliers, customers, distributors to run the business. But if you can do all those things internally, it would be cost saving. To do things internally, you need to have a good structure. That is, it is proposed to have a good corporate governance structure. So when that formulating that structure would also be costly. But if it is saving, if that cost of enforcement is a saved money rather than saving the potential losses, then it's worth to go for this option. Any questions? So next line, see, we will understand it more. Transaction cost economics and agency theory. Similarities. Both concern with managerial discretion. Both concerns. Why? Agency theory also, opportunism, self-interest seeking management we saw. Management was opportunistic and they were self-interest seeking. Transaction cost economy is also saying management is self-interest seeking. Rather than doing it internally, you are going externally and you incur additional costs. So managerial concern with managerial discretion. Both assume that managers are given opportunism and moral hazards. That is understood. Both assume that managers operate under bounded rationality. That is, act on their interest and not the interest of shareholders. Bounded rationality. Both the theories assume that the management is bounded rationality or they act on their own interest. They want to satisfy, not to maximize. අපි satisfy කරාම ඇති maximize කරන point එකට යන්නේ නෑ මේ theories දෙකෙන් එකකටවත්. Both regard board as the instrument of control. Board එක හරහා තමා මේ control එක වෙන්නේ. Even the transaction cost economics, they say board is the control. Have the board, have the governance structure, have audit committees and different committees, separate chairman and CEO, then there you will get the control. Even the agency theory explains that. So level of abstraction is similar. Firm level. Firm. Here also their agency theory was also shareholder level and board level. Here also firm level, the entire firm, not units. Units ගැන නෙමෙයි කතා කරන්නේ. Overall firm and its governance structure. Rather than individual board behavior, shareholder behavior, no. In a broader level we concern. However, transaction cost focuses on governance structure and mechanisms. අපි මෙතනදී කියන්නේ cost save කරන්න පුළුවන්, scale problem එක overcome කරන්න පුළුවන් governance structures and mechanisms ගැන. Whereas agency theory, set of contracts, sees the firm as a set of contracts. ඒකදී අපි කතා කරන්නේ contract එක. Governance is a contract. Corporate governance, we talk in terms of agency contract. Here we talk corporate governance as a structure and mechanism, which is enforced to overcome the scale problem. Okay, stewardship theory is well known to you. What is the stewardship? Who are the stewards? Organization එකක අපි stewards ලා කියලා හඳුන්වන්නේ කවුද? Who are the stewards of an organization? Are the shareholders stewards? Who are the stewards? Who are the stewards of an organization? Directors. Directors are the stewards of an organization. The stewardship theory reflects the original legal view of corporations. So what is the legal view of corporation means here? Legal view means, now it says directors has a legal duty. Legally they have a duty to act on behalf of shareholders. Fiduciary duty, I would say. Directors has a fiduciary duty to act for shareholders. Shareholders are වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කළ යුතුයි. It's a legal form. That is what the original limited liability concept was about. Limited liability concept එක හැදුනේ මේ legal view එක හරහා. Shareholder give money, director have to work on behalf of them. They have a fiduciary duty. That is what this stewardship theory is highlighting. So here now in agency theory you saw ownership was, or the power was transmitted. No, power was given to the directors. It has shifted to the directors in agency theory. That is why there was an agency dilemma. Power කියන එක ඒ director ළඟට shift වීම නිසා තමයි agency dilemma එකක් ඇති වුනේ. But in stewardship theory we still say shareholder or the principal is the ownership base, is the basis of power. Agency theory के basis of power एक होने director, not the basis of power, rather the power was transmitted, shifted. That is why the agency dilemma was there. But in stewardship theory we clearly identify basis of power is the principal or the owner. What they do is protect the interest and nominate and elect. Now agents, what the agent do is protect the interest of the principal. The principal has to nominate and elect the agents. The shareholders are there to nominate and elect the directors who can work on behalf of them. See, on the other side, directors accept a fiduciary duty to be stewards of those interests. Now, stewards of those interests mean principal's interests. Principal has an interest. To protect their interests, principals nominate and elect the directors. That is what is meant here. To protect my interest, I am nominating and electing you. So you are accepting a fiduciary duty to be stewards of those interests. I will appoint you to protect my interests. So you are accepting that duty to act for those interests. මගේ interest එක වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කරන්න ඔයා පිළිගන්න. මම ඕගොල්ලෝව nominate කරනවා. That is what it says. So agency theory, if you can remember, said people cannot be trusted. Directors cannot be trusted simply. That is why the dilemma was there. But in stewardship theory, we say directors can be trusted. Stewardship theory is based on the fact that people can be trusted or directors can be trusted. But in agency theory, it was based on the fact that directors cannot be trusted or people cannot be trusted. Here we say we can trust the directors. We can trust the directors. The last line, directors' legal duty is to their shareholders, not to themselves, nor to the other interest groups. Meaning, in stewardship theory, it says directors are there to work only on behalf of the shareholders. shareholders ලා වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කරන විතරයි directors ලා ඉන්නේ. They are not interested about their own interest or other people interest. Other people interest means other stakeholders. අනිත් stakeholders ලගේ interest එක ගැනවත් තමන්ගේ interest එක ගැනවත් හිතන්නේ නැතුව they are there to, directors are there to fulfill the interest of the shareholders. That is what the stewardship theory says. So further elaborate, it says now this directors utility function. Now utility function means directors are satisfied, directors are happy, directors make themselves satisfied by maximizing the shareholders' wealth. දැන් directors ට මොකද්ද මේකෙන් ලැබෙන්නේ කියන එක අපේ ප්‍රශ්නයන්නේ. They are going to maximize the interest of someone else. So how can they be satisfied? They are getting the satisfaction by maximizing the shareholders' wealth. Their utility function is maximized. In the sense, they will not get that satisfaction is not in monetary terms. It's a utility. ඒගොල්ලෝ සතුටක් ලබා ගන්න. Stewardship theory says that. Stewardship theory is about, utility maximizing of stewards. Stewards lagi utility එක තමයි maximize වෙන්නේ, shareholders lagi wealth එක maximize වෙනවා. In other words, directors are motivated by intrinsic rewards rather than the extrinsic rewards. Now, extrinsic rewards are what? Agency theory ke kehna api extrinsic rewards kehna. You want a new car, salary increment, promotion, those are extrinsic rewards. Now, stewardship theory says directors are getting satisfaction not by the extrinsic rewards but by the intrinsic rewards. What are the intrinsic rewards? Achievement of the goals, achievements of the company vision, mission, achievements of all the plans, achievement of good return to the shareholders, likewise. Intrinsic reward, not the extrinsic reward. Further said, on this stewardship theory, these directors or the stewards put more value on collectivity rather than individuality. They are not concerned about individuals. Individuality එක ගැන ඒගොල්ලෝ එච්චර concern එකක් නැහැ. They are more concerned on collectives, others. Collectively we can. If they can bring the company's success collectively, that is what they are being satisfied. Collectively, they are going to, get satisfied rather than individual. Now, agency theory, it was very individualist. People were self-interested. Now, stewardship theory, it says people are not self-interested. They are collectively getting happiness. If they can bring the company success, they see the company's success as their own success. Company successful now කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි satisfaction. Collective. We did this. The collective mentality is there in stewardship theory. So the agency theory, the motivation is extrinsic. Paper. Agents get motivated through monetary values, the promotions, extrinsic motivations. But here in stewardship theory, directors get motivated through intrinsic values. Intrinsic means by companies' growth, duty-wise, if they are getting more responsible, if they are being, praised by the shareholders, those things cannot be quantified. Now, agency theory rewards can be quantified. how much, the salary, the car, promotion. But in stewardship theory, extrinsically they are being motivated. They are being motivated by the appreciations, by the duties that they do, by the growth of the company, by the success of the company. They are being motivated. That is the difference. Simply, stewardship theory says shareholders are there, the directors are there to fulfill the interest of the shareholder. They don't want, their motivation is that. Their utility is maximized through that. That is what it means. Understood? Any questions? Can you raise your hand if it is clear? So stewardship theory continues. Now you might wonder, now it is said, the last line, directors are legal duties to their shareholders, not to themselves and not to other interest groups. Then are there good governance practices then? After then governance practices, we were talking about different definitions, from relationship definitions, stakeholder definitions. What about the stakeholders? What about the other interest parties? Shouldn't the directors look after them? That is a problem. The answer is, even in stewardship theory, you have to consider, or you have to identify the interest of others as well. Other stakeholders' interest, yes, you have to identify. What are the interests of pressure groups, suppliers, customers, employees, managers, everyone. However, under the law, their first responsibility is to shareholders, then to others. If you can maximize the interest of the shareholders, then that is the first thing. After that, consider about the other interest group. So stewardship theory does not say that you are eliminating the interest of others. No. First priority, what it means to say is, the first priority is shareholders. And then next you can consider the interest of others. First consider the interest of the shareholders. So in this theory, these conflicting objectives are, now people have different objectives. The customers' objectives are different stakeholders. Employees are there. So if you are considering these interests, it could be very conflicting. Now this theory doesn't say not to consider, no, saying consider, but first shareholders, then consider the others. But when you are considering the others, it's quite intuitive to say that it would be very conflicting. You are going to maximize the interest, the profit to shareholders, maximize the shareholders' wealth. When you maximize the shareholders' wealth, customers would the customers would be not happy, employees would be not happy, so there would be conflicts. So this theory says those things would be solved by free markets or the laws to protect the stakeholders. A ප්‍රශ්න ඔක්කොම market එකකින් විසඳෙයි. We are not there to fulfill the stakeholder interest. We consider, but that would be solved in the free market economies. Customers, if they are having their customers' interests, would be looked after by customer protection law. Employees' interests would be looked after by employment law. Suppliers' contract law, society environmental law. We are telling we have to look after the environment. So stewardship theory says looking after the environment, yes, we have to. First, we have to look after the shareholders. Environment would be looked after by environmental law, free market. That is how the arguments are. Clear? Is it clear? This theory provides precise boundaries for the company. This is a precise boundaries. This is the boundary. Shareholder is there, director is there. This is where you have to operate. Act to the best interest of the shareholders. Every other stakeholders would be looked after by the free market. Boundaries are fixed, precise. කවුරු වෙනුවෙන් කවුරු වැඩ කළ යුතුද කියන එක precise. Its boundaries are fixed. Boundaries are not created by law. Boundary is simply director is there for the shareholders. All the other stakeholders would be treated looked after by the laws for the free market. So, director knows what to do. Shareholder knows what to do. It is specified. Emphasize on maximizing shareholder value sustainably in the long term. However it is, you have to maximize the shareholder value long term. This is the long term focus. So the criticisms, do you really think this would, happen? Will the directors would really be that much truthful? Not really. Now it's not the simple limited liability company that we are facing today. A simple limited liability company form එක තිබ්බනම් මේක කරන්න පුළුවන්. Shareholder එක්කෙනයි directයි. There's an understanding. But with the boundaries expanded, the companies are being very complex now. Shareholders are remote from the company. So you cannot actually practice this as it is. Stewardship theory, it's simply a theory. Other than that, you cannot really be 100% true to this theory, work 100% true to this theory. So see, because of the remoteness, you see these are the simple complexities. අපි ඔය කියන stewardship theory එක කොහොමද practice කරන්නේ? If these are the case, shareholders do not nominate the director. Now, even you can be a shareholder. Do you nominate the directors? No. Even shareholders do not attend for the meetings. That much the companies have complex structure. Financial reports have become largely unintelligible. You cannot understand the financial reports. It's very complex. Financial reports එක normal shareholder කෙනෙක්ට කියවලා තේරුම් ගන්න බෑ. You have all these accounting terms and everything. Complex corporations lack transparency. How can you make transparency when you are having lots of subsidiaries, lots of shareholders? Can you do all this reporting timely, accurately? Now, you will publish the reports today, but shareholder will be somewhere in another part of the world. Shareholder when රටේ ලෝකෙ වෙනම තැනක ඉන්න කෙනෙක්. Things are there. Directors are not really accountable to shareholders. Today, directors are not really accountable. They do what they are want because of these complexities. If it is a simple form, yes. So mutually exclusive means these are yes, two separate theories. Agency theory says principal agent a contract wise, but don't link the agency theory to the stewardship theory. Stewardship theory does not say it's a contract. It does not see a principal agent as contract. Principal agent is contract with එකක් විදිහට ඒගොල්ලෝ දකින්නේ. ඒක වෙනම theory එකක්. Agent theory කියන එක වෙනම එකක්. Stewardship theory එක කියන වෙනම එකක්. Agency theory එකෙන් contract එකක් විදිහට දකිනවා. ඒක ඒකවල dilemma එකක් විදිහට දකිනවා. Stewardship theory එකෙන් contract එකක් විදිහට දකින්නේ නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලෝ දකින්නේ stewards ලා විදිහට. They see directors as stewards. Their relationship is a stewardship. They have a fiduciary duty. These are two separate theories. Stewardship theory remains theoretical foundation for corporate regulation and company registration. So those regulations and company laws and things, stewardship theory plays a role. Stewardship theory का पूरा नेत्रम නැති කරන්න බෑ. Fiduciary duty එකක් තියනවානේ අත්‍තරම board has a duty to do. board එකට අපිට duty එකක් නැහැ කියලා කියන්න බෑ. Agency theory එක හරහා අපිට we cannot argue board doesn't have a duty. Board is there to satisfy their own interest. We cannot say so. Board has a duty. Board has a fiduciary duty. That is true. But stewardship theory talks the extreme of it. But without going the extreme of it, it has a duty. They have a duty. They are responsible. And that is how, based on this theory, we have all these laws and regulations. මේ theory එක අපි base කරගෙන තමයි rules regulations හදලා තියෙන්නේ. board එක මෙන්න මෙහෙම විය යුතුයි. Board should be transparent. Board should provide financial statements quarterly. Annual reports should be provided. ඒව හැමදේම කරලා තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ වගේ මේ fiduciary duty එක කියන base එක පදනම් කරගෙන. So we cannot eliminate this stewardship theory. Rather, there's something that we have to take. Board has a fiduciary duty. That is true. So criticisms. So even though stewardship theory is there, still we had corporate collapses. So then what's the use of stewardship theory? Nothing. මේ stewardship model එක stewardship theory කියලා තියෙනවා නම් if many board is having a fiduciary duty as the theory says, then you cannot have corporate collapses. No. අපි board එකේ මේ කියන තරම් fiduciary duty එකක් board එක මෙච්චරම අනු shareholder interest එක ගැන හිතනවා නම් in the world you cannot have corporate collapse. So this is having those simply undermine this stewardship model. Model එක තනිකරම අයින් පහත් කරනවා. So these models are not you can see 100% in the company. Agency theory එක 100% company එක දකින්න බෑ. Stewardship theory එක 100% company එකට apply කරන්න බෑ. To some extent you can see. මේ හැම දෙයක්ම පොඩ companies වල තියෙනවා. Everything is there. So this is an interesting point. So even though this board is having a stewardship duty, with the corporate collapses, board calls for shareholders empowerment. Shareholders empowerment means අපි කියනවානේ stewardship theory එකේ මොකද්ද කියන්නේ? You trust the board. Board can be trusted. Now, අතර board එක trust කරාට collapse වෙලා තියෙනවානේ. There are a lot of collapses. So this has given the rise to shareholder empowerment. Shareholder ලොකු බලයක් දීලා තියෙනවා මේ theory එක හරහා. මේ theory එක undermine වීම හරහා. මේ වගේ දෙයක් තිබ්බත් you see the corporate collapses, and that is why the shareholders are now more powerful. Return to shareholder democracy. Now shareholders are it's not today shareholders are not the as the theory says they give the money and board do the business and give the return. It's not the same. Theory එකේ කියන්නේ එහෙමනේ shareholder සල්ලි දෙන්න board එක operate කරයි පස්සේ return එක දෙනවා. That's the theory sense. But now with all those corporate collapses, shareholders are more empowered now. Shareholder ටිකක් දැන් බලය වැඩි කරගෙන තියෙනවා. Return to shareholder democracy. share අර බලය කියන එක shareholder ගේ පැත්තට දැන් සෑහෙන්න ඇවිත් තියෙනවා. That is why in decision making you will see shareholders in companies. Decision making කරන directors ලා විතරක් නෙමෙයි දැන්. shareholders ලා ඒකට දැන් influence කරනවා. Shareholders also influence empowerment. Shareholders are also engaging in decision making now. කියන්නේ directors ට දීලා පැත්තකට වෙලා ඉන්නේ නැහැ. You are also now, shareholders are also engaged in the business. So the results are increased investor costs and reduced returns. Investor cost එක වැඩි වෙනවා. Why? Rather than putting the money, you have to now, go and engage in the business activities as well. So increase the cost. Limit freedom to deal with the shares. Shareholders are there to invest and do the share purchasing and selling. ඒකනේ අපි investor කෙනෙක් විදිහට කරන්නේ සල්ලි දානවා shares ගන්නවා shares විකුණනවා. But when you are in the decision making and also අපි board එකේ අපි company වැඩවලට සහභාගී වීම නිසා you are limiting your freedom. Then advanced special interest promote narrow interest and realize short-term gains. So since now since you are now engaged in collective work and individual negotiations with management, you also will tend to realize short-term gains. Shareholders then collectively management එකත් එක්ක decision making කරන හින්දා individual negotiations කරන්න යන හින්දා ඒගොල්ලෝගේ actively votings දෙන හින්දා ඒගොල්ලෝ short term gains හරහා කියන්නේ special interests achieve කරගන්න හදන්න පුළුවන්. Those are issues. When shareholders are there to decision making and negotiations and everything, they will sometimes also be short term focused. Investor expectations are not homogeneous. Now if the investors are empowered, especially like institutional investors, so ගොඩක් ඔය empowerment එක තියෙන්නේ institutional investors. ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි company strategies හදනකොට ඒවට ඇවිල්ලා discussions වලට එන්නේ. Individually negotiate කරන management එකත් එක්ක collectively strategies හදන්නේ, actively voting කරන්නේ. ඒ වගේ decision making activities වල ගොඩක්ම involve institutional investors. But if you take 10 different investors, their interests or expectations are not homogeneous. So active investors can be there, passive investors can be there. Passive ones will invest for long terms. They expect long term sustainability. Active ones, what they do is buy sell actively. So they are more concerned about short term. So having shareholder empowerment is good. It is good, but there are bad aspects as well. When you have shareholders inside the company, you can collectively make things. Then you know what the interests of the shareholders are. Then dilemma, the problems would be limited. However, there can be negative side of that is also too much of intervention by the shareholders and the directors is not good. The decision making discretion එක නැති වෙනවා, freedom is vanished. The shareholder empowerment is they are, engaged with organizational activities. For example, individual negotiations with management. Management එකත් එක්ක අපි ගිහිල්ලා දැන් individually හම්බ වෙලා shareholder ට පුළුවන් මේගොල්ලන්ගේ views දෙන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ මෙන්න මේ වගේ ventures වලට යන්න. මේකට අපි කැමති නෑ. එහෙම ගොඩක්ම institutional investors ලා company අලුතෙන් strategy එකක් හදනකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ ගිහින් ඒකට comment කරනවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඒකට කැමතිද නැද්ද කියලා කියනවා. They give their comments and they collectively make the strategies with the shareholder, the board. Instead of the board, the responsibility of the board is to make strategies and everything. Shareholders do not interfere. Now here empowered means they are also interfering. They are also giving their comments, actively interfering and actively giving the votes. That's what the shareholder empowerment is. Shareholder ගොඩක් දැන් බලය අරගෙන තියෙන. ඇතුලේ වැඩවලට ගොඩක් intervene වෙනවා. That's how shareholder empowerments are. So I want you all to concentrate on this figure. It's it's from a research. It's a model, principal manager model, very interesting model. See how it is understood. Now, it has two theories that we discussed, agency theory and stewardship theory. So let's take this first here, this one. So even in stewardship theory, even in the agency theory, you have principal and agent. Agency theory et stewardship theory et ඔය කියන parties දෙක අපි ඉන්නවා. Principal, agent. වෙනස වෙන්නේ agency theory එකේ මේ දෙන්න අතර තියෙන contract එකක් විදිහට අඳුන ගන්න. Agency theory identifies a contract between the two. Stewardship theory identifies a fiduciary duty between the two. That is a difference. Agency theory identifies a contract. Stewardship theory identifies a fiduciary duty. So see, there is a principle. If the principal choice is stewardship theory, principal හිතනවා නම් මේ company මම හිතන්නේ steward කෙනෙක් විදිහට කියලා. And if the manager think in this company I am having an agency relationship, principal හිතනවා මෙතන තියෙන stewardship relationship එකක් කියලා. Manager හිතනවා මෙතන තියෙන agency relationship එකක් කියලා. Then do you see a conflict? Because principal thinks manager has a fiduciary duty now. Manager thinks now we have a contract. So if manager see himself as an agent, not as a steward, manager හිතනවා නම් එයා agent කෙනෙක් විතරයි කියලා, then he will be very opportunistically act. He will be very much opportunistic. Why? He is going to maximize his own interest. But principal is thinking, seeing his as a steward. Principal thinks I can trust the manager. Stewardship theory එකකින් කියන්නේ ඒකනේ. Principal manager trust කරනවා. නමුත් manager ඉන්නේ agent කෙනෙක් විදිහට. Then principal is betrayed and he is angry. Do you understand this? See here also second one. Manager thinks I am a steward, meaning I am there to do the duty. I will work for the best interest of the shareholder. Principal thinks this is a agent, this is a contract. Manager is a agent. Principal දකින්නේ manager agent කෙනෙක් විදිහට. නමුත් manager තමන්ව දකිනවා steward කෙනෙක් විදිහට. Then manager is betrayed. Manager is betrayed. Why? Principal do not trust the manager, but manager is thinking he is doing the duty. He can be trusted. So principal act opportunistically. Manager is frustrated. These are different things that we can experience in organizations. But if this is the case, principal thinks manager as an agent. Manager also thinks manager as an agent. Then no problem. No? Both of them know that this is an agency contract. Manager is going to maximize his own interest. Principal is going to maximize his own interest. The conflict of interest would be there. Mutual understanding is there. Minimize potential cost. So then the cost would be less. Why? All of us are understood. This is the case. Then we can have the mechanisms. මෙහෙම අපි understanding එකක ඉන්නවා නම් මේ conflict නැති කරගන්න mechanisms අපිට තියාගන්න පුළුවන්. You don't have unnecessary frustrations and betrayals. Here, principal thinks manager as a steward. Manager also think themselves as a steward. Then maximize potential performance. So then everyone, manager also doing his fiduciary duty, principal also trust the manager. So your performance would be maximized. So this is the best that is being accepted. That is the best. So then we can continue the rest of the theories next week. So today we covered was agency theory, transaction cost theory, and stewardship theory. And we saw how the organization have different choices of agency and principal, agency and stewardship, and what are the complications. So there are 2 research articles which has been uploaded. I want all of you all to read those. So those would not be discussed in the class, but those are additional readings in which you would be tested. Questions would be taken from those articles as well. You will have to have that knowledge as well. So if you do not have any questions, we'll stop for the day, and we'll start the next lesson or next section next week.